Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with a all-in-one farming guide for Dark Souls. Now this is not going to include Covenant related items, but going to include pretty much everything else from Souls to Humanity to all of the Titanite that you will ever need in the game. So starting off, we're going to focus on how to obtain Souls early on, late game, mid game, and everything in between. Now I'll also show you guys what you can wear and use to increase your overall soul gain. I will show you what you would gain normally versus with the soul boosting items. So the two items that you can wear to boost your overall soul obtains is from the coveted silver serpent ring, which is found in the Tomb of the Giants, and then you also have the symbol of avarice. Now do remember that the symbol of avarice will tick down at 10 HP a second or so, I believe. It definitely will make it a little bit annoying to do this. But we'll start off in the Undead Burg with the earliest way that you can farm souls. Alright, so probably the earliest method of farming souls that will be available to you guys will be in the Undead Burg after you take out the Taurus demon and have unlocked the shortcut back to the bonfire. Now basically, every single time that you do this, it's roughly 30 seconds to a minute, but you can get 555 souls. All you have to do is simply run up onto the bridge, get the dragon to breathe fire, like so. Depending on things, he won't always do it every single time. He sometimes likes to be a bit annoying. But every single time you do this, it's 555 souls. Now that's just doing it normally, of course. Then from here we can increase that by adding the serpent ring and the symbol of avarice. So then we'll see how much we get now. It's probably not going to be much of a difference, of course, but do keep in mind that any amount of soul gain that you might need is always going to be helpful. The only downside is these two items that increase the amount of souls obtained can't really be gotten until late game. So let's see what the difference is. Okay, we went from 555 up to almost 800 a run. That doesn't seem so bad. But now we can move on to the next area and the next soul farm for you guys, and that is going to be found in the Darkroot Garden. Now do note you need to not be a member of the Forest Hunter Covenant in order to do this. So I'll see you once we are there. Alright, so as you can see here in the Darkroot Garden, you will need to have the key to open up this door to go fight Sif and join the Forest Hunters Covenant, which does cost 20,000 souls and can be bought from Andre of Astora. Now, however you get the 20,000 souls is entirely up to you, but once you obtain them, basically all you're going to want to do is follow this path that I take, and this will grab the aggro of all of the enemies in this area here. You'll want to grab a couple of them, of course. Make sure you come up and grab this guy as well. Then all you're going to want to do is do a run all the way back. And then you're going to come over here to this corner. And then you want to make sure that you're with your shield facing out. And as you'll see, the enemies will walk off. Some enemies don't actually fully aggro, of course, and then some require a little bit of help. Now your first run is going to get you more than normal because there's an extra enemy who doesn't normally respawn, but the others do, so roughly you're looking at 6,000 or so a run. Now we'll show you guys what it's like with the symbol of avarice and the serpent ring on. Like before, you basically just want to run and avoid all the enemies. As you'll see, the knight who has the ability to not be seen is not here anymore as he doesn't respawn. It's best just to grab aggro of the first 3 enemies to save on time. and then come back to the corner like always. Make sure that you are here with your shield outward. As you'll see, they'll kind of run off. The spellcaster doesn't always do it, but as you'll see, it's not a very perfect way of doing it. But you'll get a little bit more than 2,000 per enemy when they do end up going down and dying. Or, if you're good enough, you can basically just go through and defeat the enemies yourself. It really is up to you, but that'll go from a 6,000 farm up to almost 9,000, just like that. So now we'll move on to probably the next farm that most people are going to know about, and that is in Anor Londo. So I'll see you there. So the next soul farm can be found in Anor Londo. Now this one is entirely up to you on how many of the Silver Knights you want to farm in a run. The best way I found to do it is make sure you have a weapon that just one-shots them after you parry them, and you'll get 1,200 souls every single time. Now, like I said, depending on things, you can do a full run like I'm going to do, and that will get you the most amount, but will take longer, of course. But as you'll see, we'll get 1,200 every single time, as long as we do a one-shot kill with a parry, which we can. But as you'll see, overall, the amount that we're getting is very consistent. And in total, like I said, it's entirely up to you how many of the Silver Knights you want to do this. You can do it on the first floor to make your life a little bit easier, that way you don't have to run so far and all of that. Or you can do like I'm going to do and just do all of them. So in total there are 10 knights that you can farm and kill in this area. Actually no, there are, I believe, 12, my bad. No, 11, my bad. Once again, I miscounted. But anyways, if you think about it, 11 knights times 1,200 isn't exactly so bad. Then we can grab the last two right here. Or no, that actually is 12. I'm blah. Now the archers will give you a little bit more XP than, or souls than normal. Grab this one right here. But as you'll see, the overall amount of time that you are running to do this isn't really that long. And then if you want to, you can come all the way back over here and grab the last one here on the left. So 12 in total times 1,200 is not a bad run. And then for the sake of things, I will just show off how much the Silver Knights give you with just using the Symbol of Avarice and the Silver Serpent Ring. I'll simply just do it on a couple of them so you guys can see. So we went from 1,200 a kill, and let's see how much difference we get from this. We went from 1,200 to 1,700, so an extra 500 per run, depending of course, isn't really that great. But now we can move on to the next soul farm, and that is going to be found in the Tomb of the Giants. Alright, so the next soul farming area can be found in the Tomb of the Giants. Now you're going to want to make your way to this one bonfire that's tucked a little bit closer to the end of the area. But from here you're going to farm the 4 skeleton dogs, or whatever you'd like to call them here. As you'll see, you get roughly 1,500 souls per each one. Then if you come down here to this lower area, you can find 3 more for you to kill. As you'll see, just like that. you'll get roughly 5,000 or so souls. Pretty nice, right? Now let's see how much we get for doing that with the ring and the symbol of avarice. I assume it's not much of a difference, but still anything helps. And then we will switch to the skull lantern so we can actually see. So we went from 1,500 to 2,000. Okay. So that's not so bad. That's roughly 8,000 a run, and the runs don't take all that long. Alright, not too bad. So all in all, not a bad soul farm, if I say. So now we'll move on to probably the last and final one, and that is going to be in the painted world of Ariamis. So I'll see you guys once we are there. Alright, so the next soul farm can be found in the painted world of Ariamis. It's best to be done once you have opened up the area, and all you're going to do is kill these spear enemies here. Now depending on things, as you'll see, you can pretty much easily one-shot them, and I do believe you'll get roughly 6,000 a run if done correctly, and doesn't take too long at all. So now let's see how much of a difference we get with the ring and the symbol of avarice. So normally we get 6,000 a run. Now let's see how much difference we get. It looks like it went from 6,000 to a little around maybe 9,000 or 10,000, so not too much of a difference, but still. And do note that these farms are entirely up to you, or you can follow the path that I have chosen and all of that good jazz. But now the next thing that we want to talk about is farming for humanity. Now, whenever it comes to farming for humanity, the best way I like to do this is just to use a gold serpent ring and have at least 10 soft humanity. That will put your total item discovery, as you'll see, at 410 on the right hand side, right above our attunements. Now do note this is the highest you can get your item discovery at. Sadly, you can't stack both the covetous gold serpent ring and the symbol of avarice like you can in other games. But, oh well. So the first area we're going to be going to is the depths. So I'll see you all there. Alright, so the earliest area that you can farm humanity at is from the rats here in the depths. So all you'll want to do is follow the main path from the bonfire, and if you come off here to the right, there will be 5 rats over here. Then you'll have another rat just up here in this box. As you'll see, we've already gotten one so far. Now do note that drop rates are completely random. So even if you do have a high item discovery, it doesn't guarantee that you will get the humanity every single time. Here we have another 4. So in total that puts us at 10 rats, and then we have maybe 6 more that we're going to grab right here. So it's best to come down and bait these big rats into attacking first, and then you attack after. They can drop humanity as well, and then you have this rat over here, as you'll see. So we got 2 so far during this run. And then the next and last 2 are going to be over here in these boxes. We got 3 this time, But like I said, you could get more than I did on your run. And now I'll show you guys another area that you can get humanity. Oh, we actually got 4. There we go. Humanity, and I'll also show you another soul farm. And that is going to be in the Duke's Archives in the prison area or the giant library. Alright, so the next humanity / soul farm that you can probably use is here in the Duke's Archives, like I said, in the giant library. So all you're going to want to do is run all the way down to where the blue experiments are, is probably what I'm going to refer to them, because I don't know their exact name. Now the downside, of course, is this does take a long time, but with whatever weapon you're using, you hopefully are one-shotting them, or whatever method works best for you. But as you'll see, I can come in here just like that. As you'll see, they give roughly 800 a go. So you'll probably get a little over a couple thousand, probably 6,000 to 10,000 a run. And then, like I said, they also double down on humanity as well. But now we're probably going to be moving on from that to actual Titanite and things like that as well. So I'm going to show you guys where you can farm large and green Titanite shards. We're not going to focus on the small Titanites because it's probably best just to buy those instead of trying to farm them, just to save you on some time. But I'll see you down in Blight Town at the very bottom where you can get invaded by Man-Eater Mildred and that bonfire right before Quelaag or right next to the elevator. So yeah. So from this bonfire here in Blight Town, you're basically going to run as if you're going to go to the Great Hollow. You have to traverse a bit of the swamp. But you're going to farm these slugs for the green and large Titanite shards. Do note the greens drop in packs of 5, and the largest drop as a single, as you'll see like so. Now from here you can come all the way over here to where these next 3 are. Hopefully we can get a green drop to show you guys. But coming back here, we can also find some more. Sadly, we didn't get any. Nope, no drops from him. As you'll see though, they go down fairly easy and they aren't too hard to deal with. They can still do quite a bit of damage, so do be careful of that. Nothing from them. We've got at least 5 more to go for. But that is where you'll farm the green and large Titanites. Like I said, when they do drop, they will drop 5 of the green Titanite shards. But now we can move on to Titanite chunks, which can be found at the very end of the game in the Kiln of the First Flame. Pretty convenient to get all of the Titanite chunks as well, instead of just them being in certain areas. This is the best place to farm all of them in one go. Alright, so here at the Kiln of the First Flame is where you can find and farm your Titanite chunks from the Black Knights. As I'm sure you're aware, they drop these from the ones that only have a single life in the outside world, but all the ones here in the Kiln of the First Flame respawn. Now there is in total 2 swords, 1 greatsword, 1 axe, and 1 glaive. So all in all, you'll get a total of 5 chunks, 2 regulars, and 1 of each kind. So you're guaranteed at least 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 white, as you'll see right here. Now this will be key for upgrading all of your final weapons to whatever weapon path you chose for them. But as you'll also see, being good at parrying these enemies does make life a little bit easier. Here we'll get a red. Then the next one will be another normal, as you guys will see. This is a bit of a run, so do be mindful of that. But as you'll see, as long as you can parry all of these guys, you should be a-okay. And then a little bit after they get up, you can attack them. And do note that they also drop 2,000 souls every single time as well. So not a decent soul farm, but it's roughly 10,000 souls every single time. Here we have the axe, who probably does the most damage. He drops the white. And then we have, last but not least, the glaive. And he drops the blue. Pretty easy overall. But now we're not fully done, as I will show you where to farm Demon Titanite in Lost Izalith. Now do note you need to at least have a +1 in the Chaos Servant Covenant and still have that door shortcut in Lost Izalith from Demon Ruins active to be able to farm Demon Titanite. So the best bonfire is the bonfire right before the Demon Centipede boss, so I'll see you guys there. Alright, so from the bonfire right before the Demon Centipede boss, you're basically going to backtrack and run this way as if you're going to take the shortcut into Lost Izalith from the Demon Ruins without having to go through the giant lava area. But from here you'll be able to farm Demon Titanite, which you can use to upgrade any and all of your boss weapons, which is pretty nice. As you'll see, you'll basically come down here, and like I said, you'll have to be at least rank 1 or rank 2 depending on how you look at it of the Chaos Servants, which only requires that you give Quelana 30 soft humanity, which isn't really that bad. But as you'll see, regardless of things, it's still quite a run to do this on. But the best build I've found for farming this enemy is to go for a heavy sorcery build, as he doesn't have good resistances to magic. Now here you'll see we have the demon. As you'll see, he goes down fairly easily. And every single time, he will drop 2 Demon Titanite. So now we can move on to the dragon skills, which will be used to upgrading any and all of your dragon weapons, which can be found in the Valley of the Drakes, kind of in between Blighttown and Firelink Shrine and the Darkroot Garden. I'll show you the best bonfire, which can be found where you find the Grass Crest Shield and the Black Knight in the Darkroot Garden. There is a bonfire right next to that, which is closest to all of the dragons. So I'll see you once we're there. So from this hidden little bonfire in the Darkroot Garden, you can go back the way you came or however it is, and you can ride this elevator down, and this will take you to the Valley of the Drakes. To make it easier, you can send the elevator back up, and then as you'll see, you can come out here and farm these drakes right here, and they will sometimes drop dragon scales, as you can see. And these are going to be used for upgrading any and all of your dragon weapons. And that's death. But as you guys can see, there you go, and that's how you farm the dragon scales. Alright, so I will mention some of the covenants that you will want to farm for and all of that good jazz, and I will show you guys where to farm for those items. That way you have it all in one video. Now, we just went over how to farm for one of them, and that is the Dragon Covenant found in Ash Lake that requires dragon scales. Now, they will once again require you to farm the drakes in the Valley of Drakes to get the dragon scales, and there are a couple of dragon scales found throughout the game, but they're very few and far between. Now, the next one is going to probably be the Sunlight Bros Covenant, or the Sun Bros, and that is found in Lost Izalith right before the Demon Titanite farm, and it is using that same path that we just showed, and I will show you guys where to farm the sunlight metals from those enemies there. Alright, like I said, right before the Demon Titanite in the area to the Lost Izalith, you can find these maggots that will drop the sunlight metals. Now, the drop chance is kind of low, but as you'll see, you can also farm red Titanite chunks from them, and like I just showed you, the sunlight metals. Now, the next farm is going to be back in the depths, and that is for Eyes of Death, and that is for the Gravelord Covenant. Do note that the Covenant becomes unable to join once you defeat Nito, so do keep that in mind, similar to the Covenant we're going to talk about afterwards. Now, for the Chaos Servant Covenant, the only thing you'll need to do is give 30 humanity, and that's all you'll have to do. Some of the other covenants aren't worth talking about because they're more not really worth even diving into because you don't get anything from them, or they don't really offer much. So now we'll go to the depths. Alright, so from the bonfire here in the depths, you're just going to follow the path that I take, and I'll show you how to farm the Eyes of Death, which is used for the Gravelord Serpent's Covenant, which requires you to at least grab 10 of them. Anything after 10 just increases the overall damage of the miracles you get from the Gravelord's Covenant. But from here you'll follow the main path as if you're just going to go through the depths. Take out these giant rats because they can always just be a pain. You can run past this small one, of course. Now, if you have a fire weapon, this next enemy will probably go down in one go, like so. As you'll see, they can drop green Titanite shards. But we're not here for that, we're here for this right here. So coming down here, you're going to want to fight and farm these basilisks as they drop the Eyes of Death. Now, in total, there's roughly a good amount, I believe 10 or so of these basilisks that you can fight. And come back over here. Grab this one. And then we can move on to the last three. Look, sadly I didn't get any drops so far, but maybe our luck will change here with the last three. There we go. as you'll see, an Eye of Death, and then the last one found here in the depths is just over here, and down these stairs, as you'll see. But now we'll move on to the Blade of the Dark Moon, quite similar to the Gravelord Covenant. If you happen to kill the boss of the Covenant, then the Covenant is unjoinable. You can't even join it at the bonfire, and you can't use, I think, its respective miracles. And that is going to be the Blade of the Dark Moon. So now we're going to go back to the painted world of Ariamis. Alright, so here in the painted world, you're going to follow this path that I take, and this will lead you to the 4 enemies that you're going to farm to get the Souvenirs of Reprisal, which is used for the Blades of the Dark Moon. Now you only need 10 to get what you need. Anything after that basically increases the overall, I think, damage and scaling that Blade of the Dark Moon miracle will do. Now coming up to this side area here, as you'll see, there's 2 of them that are initially here, and 2 more that will fly in once you go up there. So you can bait the first one out. As you'll see, it goes down in about 3 hits. And then you can come up here, if you'll wait a second, then you can hit the next 3. And just like that, they go down. And as you'll see, that will be the Souvenirs of Reprisal. Now do note the giant undead dragons also give you the dragon scales in case you want to farm them, and then anything else is kind of just in between. But like I said, this is hopefully a all-in-one farming video that you guys can come back to and rely on to remember where to get things. Now certain items and drops like that I'm not going to include, just because I think that those are more niche instead of a farming video. But as always, I do hope that this video has been helpful and informative in any way, shape, or form. As always though, this has been Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you all in the next video.